Hello my beautiful friends and welcome to Tailor Made Beauty by Kris. Today's video I'm going to give you my update because I have been on HRT for 1 month and I want to share with you my experience. But before I go into that, I want to share some really important information with you. There were two main reasons why I went on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and specifically for me, estradiol. One, and this is what drives a lot of women, I think, to pursue HRT, which is relief of the symptoms of menopause, be that hot flashes or insomnia or any other number of things. But really the big reason is that HRT protects us long-term from heart disease, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's disease. And these are not things that we as women should ignore. Heart disease is the cause of death for 1 out of 2 women. So even if you don't have a history of heart disease in your family, you don't have any risk factors, like right now, I don't have any risk factors, the fact that it kills 1 out of 2 women is enough to make me want to protect myself from that risk. And compare that to cancer. When you can take all cancers combined, cancer is the reason for death for 1 out of 29 women, so 1 out of 29 versus 1 out of 2. For osteoporosis, my mother has osteopenia, which is the precursor to osteoporosis. I am still waiting to do my bone density test with my new gynecologist. I have another appointment with her in a month, and that's when I expect to do my bone density test so I can get a baseline of where my bone density is right now. And of course, Alzheimer's, I think, is something that we all are afraid of, all really want to avoid. And so those 3 things alone were enough to get me really serious about looking at HRT. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I would really, really encourage you to go search out Menopause Taylor. That's Dr. Barbie Taylor's channel on YouTube. She is amazing. She has videos. You will come out learning so much from her. I'm just going to share my journey with you because I think so many of us don't get any education from our doctors, the education and the knowledge that we really need to make good decisions about our health. So for me, my periods were super, super heavy after I had my 2 kids. And a girlfriend of mine was like, oh, you should go on the Mirena IUD. I haven't had a period in, years. And so I found a gynecologist, and when I was 40, I went on the Mirena IUD. Now, what I didn't know then, what I know now, it's a progesterone-only IUD. So it's hormonal, it's progesterone, and I replace it every 5 years. Now, the gynecologist I just switched to, and I'll talk about her in just a moment, said you can get 7. In Europe, they don't replace them until 7 years, but okay, whatever, that's kind of beside the point. So I stopped having my period when I was 40, not because of menopause, but because of my IUD. So I think for most women, the big clue that you're in menopause is your cycle goes all crazy. And of course, by definition, once you have missed a full year, 12 full cycles, then by definition, you are postmenopausal. But I wasn't having my period, and I would just go see the gynecologist every 5 years to get a new one. So at 45, and then just recently. But I see my general practitioner every year. And she said, oh, because I had the Mirena IUD, couldn't get really good hormone numbers in my blood work because, of course, it affects the hormones. Okay, whatever. I didn't fully understand that. But in October of 2018, I got my blood work done, and there was stuff I didn't recognize because I don't recognize a lot of what gets done in my blood work. But my general practitioner said to me, oh, you're definitely in menopause. Okay, I was 50 years old. Fine, that makes sense to me. Most recently, I saw Dr. Taylor on Angie Houghton Flashy's channel. And that got me thinking again, like, gee, should I really be considering HRT? It sounds really important. It sounds like it does a lot of good stuff for our bodies. And in November of 19, just recently, is when I went and got my latest IUD. And like, as a total afterthought, as my gynecologist is walking out of the room, she says, oh, we might want to talk about HRT at your next appointment. And I'm thinking to myself, my next appointment is going to be for 5 years. So at that point, I scheduled a consultation with Dr. Taylor. She's retired. She's living in Nice, which I think would be fabulous. But she does Skype consultations, and they're not cheap. I think it was $200 or something. But oh my gosh, it was the best $200 I think I've ever spent on my health. So that's where I learned that going back, sorry, let me back up just a little bit. To have my consultation with her, I put together like this 25-page document of all my health history, supplements I'm taking, all this stuff. And when I was doing that, I was going back through my blood panels that my doctor had done, and I came across something called FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. And what I know from watching Dr. Taylor's videos is that the normal range for a fertile woman, a woman who's still having periods, is like 15 to 35. And anything over about 50 is considered menopause or postmenopausal. Well, in October of 2018, my FSH was 115. That's freaking postmenopausal. And my general practitioner, all she told me was I was in menopause. She didn't even tell me I was postmenopausal. So, yeah, that kind of really pissed me off, that my general practitioner didn't even know. And what Dr. Taylor says is that most doctors going through med school get about 45 minutes on menopause, which is nothing. So I had my appointment with Dr. Taylor, and I wanted to find a doctor who specialized in menopause. And so there's the North American Menopause Society. Their website is menopause.org, and there you can find practitioners that are certified by them. They've been through special training. They understand menopause. And I found a fantastic doctor here in Bellevue, Washington, and went and saw her. And Dr. Taylor had prepared me. She's like, you probably want to be on estrogen the rest of your life. I asked her, how long would you be on it? Because everything we've heard is just, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And she's like, no, would you tell, a diabetic they're only going to be on insulin for a certain number of years? If somebody had a thyroid problem, would you tell them they were only going to be on synthetic thyroid for a few years? No, this is something that's the rest of our lives to protect our health. And she kind of indicated to me that there might be some doctors who gave me pushback on that. So I found this amazing doctor, and no, we were so totally on the same page. It was super easy. It was really, it was fabulous. So what I got was an Estradiol patch. So there's 3 forms of estrogen. Go watch Dr. Taylor. She's got fabulous videos on all of them. What you need for protecting your health is estradiol. And because I have the Mirena, and it's progesterone only. I don't need any. The only reason for taking progesterone when you're postmenopausal is to protect you against uterine cancer. And by having an IUD, that progesterone is exactly where I need it. And so as long as I've got that IUD, I will never get uterine cancer. All right, so now it's been a month on these Estradiol patches. And the patches that I'm on, they're little, they're about that big, and they're clear, and I put them on my hip or kind of around back on my butt, anywhere there's good fat, and trust me, there's enough good fat back there. And they stay on for 3.5 days. So I have it, in the calendar, in my phone, that I replace my patch every Tuesday morning and Friday night. It's just what I do, and it's what I will do for the rest of my life. And they stick pretty well. I did have an issue. 2 of them came off early. And so it was a little bit of a learning curve doing that. But let's talk about what I've seen in the last month now being on the Estradiol. And by the way, I'm on 0.05, which is the minimum amount you need to get the health benefits, the protection from heart disease, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's. If you're at a lower dose, you may be getting relief from your symptoms, but you are not getting the long-term benefits to your health. It's really important to know. So on this Estradiol, on the 0.05, I am definitely getting better sleep. I fall asleep much faster and stay asleep through the night. So that's amazing. That feels so good. And since I've started on the estrogen, I have not had a single sleepless night. One of those nights where maybe you caught 2 or 3 hours total off and on throughout the night. I haven't had one of those. I had a couple of nights where it was harder to fall asleep, more like pre-estradiol, but overall, so much better quality sleep. Fabulous. One of the other things I've noticed, my skin feels smoother and more plump. So that's kind of nice. I don't know that it's visible. I probably should go back and look at pictures from 2 months ago to now and see if there's any visible difference. But that's really nice. And now TMI alert. I will say one of the things that I noticed, in retrospect now, when I was like, I've been going through menopause since I was probably 45 or 46 or so. I had problems with constipation and not being real regular. And I will say, since being on Estradiol, that is not a problem. Twice a day like clockwork. And, until you're like back, I'm like, yeah, that's how it used to be. And it just feels really good. So, sorry about that, maybe TMI. I can't speak to whether it's helping with weight loss because honestly, I just keep drinking alcohol and eating sugar, and I really, really need to get back to my eating plan and try to get some of this weight off. But I'm still at the gym 5 days a week. I've been doing that now for coming up on 3 months, and that feels really good. So, I don't see my doctor for another month. And like I said, I will be asking her about the bone density test at that point. Oh, one thing that she said to me is that with the patch, it goes systemic. That's where I'm going to get the benefits, the protection from the big 3, heart disease, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's. But she said I may need a vaginal cream at some point. And she did a vaginal exam and said that my vaginal walls were still pink, but they were definitely thinning. And so again, it makes me go back to my GP and go, well, you did a pap smear. Couldn't you tell that my vaginal walls were thinning? Anyway, That's why it is so important that we women, the consumers, get the most and best information that we can so that we can play an active part in the management of our health and our long-term care. So I will link Dr. Taylor's, Menopause Taylor, I'll link her channel down below. I'm going to strongly urge you, even if you're in your 30s or 40s, go check out her videos, get yourself educated. I'll put the website down below where I found my doctor. Find yourself a practitioner that will work with you, that you're comfortable with, because this will be a lifelong relationship. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. I am trying to hit 500 here in the next couple of months, and I really, really would appreciate it. Thanks so much, and have a really fantastic day.